Welcome to Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-Commerce. I'm ELISE, your resident tech expert and author of the book Browser versus Buyer. I've worked with e-commerce shop owners for over 6 years, and I've helped hundreds of creatives overcome their technology fears. Gain clarity and direction in your business with ELISE's E-Commerce Elevator 6-month group coaching program. Join now at MyScheduledBiz.com/elevator. The link is in the show notes. Hi Bizzers! Today we'll be talking about the 6 steps to market your handmade business online. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why many e-commerce shop owners skip steps on their journey to build a successful e-commerce business, why it's so important to double check you haven't missed anything, the technology that's required, and what you need to do today to ensure your business is healthy and ready for growth. Before we jump into the 6 steps to market your handmade business online, I want you to imagine trying to get in an elevator at the airport after 20 flights have just landed. It's not easy or fast. There's usually a line. Many people are grumpy, probably even you, and everyone just wants to get on that elevator and get home, or wherever they're going, as quickly as possible. Some people will get tired of waiting and ultimately decide to take the stairs rather than wait for the elevator. No one would say that taking the elevator at the airport is easy. In fact, going to the airport at all is a source of stress for many people. Why am I telling you this story? Because it clearly illustrates the journey to a profitable e-commerce shop and what it looks like. People get grumpy when things don't go the way they want. Many people start out wanting an e-commerce shop, but ultimately give up and go another way, like those who took the stairs in the story. Those who stick it out have a lot of waiting to do because their business will not be built overnight. It is not fast or easy, but there is a direct path to get there, and that path is straight up, just like the elevator in our story. What I hope to lay out for you today is the 6 floors or steps it takes to achieve your dream. It won't be like taking the stairs, but it won't be easy either. Things worth achieving rarely are. Before you can jump onto the e-commerce elevator, you need to establish what kind of business owner you are. Are you a Chloe or a Cathy? All right, so let's talk a little bit about Chloe. Chloe is a crafter. She's been crocheting for 30 years. Everyone loves everything she makes, and she has sold a few things in person to friends and family. She's been told several times she should start a business with her craft, but she's not really sure how to start selling online. She's overwhelmed by technology, and she's afraid she's going to mess things up. So she makes a plan. Her plan is to learn from the experts in every aspect of e-commerce business. She starts buying courses. She chooses courses that are hyper-focused on specific needs for businesses because she wants to be sure that she knows what she's getting into. But she's really not sure where to start, and she has a lot of resources, but has taken very little action. Our second person is Cathy. Cathy is also a crafter. She has been sewing for 30 years. Everyone loves everything she makes. She's sold a few things in person to friends and family. She's been told several times that she should start a business with her craft. She doesn't really have any business skills to speak of. She's not really sure how to start selling online. She's overwhelmed by technology and afraid to mess things up. So right now, Cathy and Chloe sound really similar, but this is where they differ. Cathy has decided that she is going to pick one expert to learn from and start building a business as soon as possible. She doesn't worry about the right place to start. She figures she can always add or change things later if necessary. She starts implementing the teachings in the video course and finds that before long, she has a selling platform, a social media presence, and an occasional sale. Things aren't perfect, and she finds herself fixing things more often than she'd like to admit, but she still has built a business. So what's the difference between Chloe and Cathy? Chloe is focused on knowing everything before she takes action. Cathy is focused on taking action before she knows everything. Chloe is focused on perfection, and Cathy is focused on progress. So I've got a little short story about Chloe. Chloe books a website review call because her website shoppers were not buying. Before every call, I look at the website and compile notes. In most websites, I immediately see problems and have an idea of what specific things are most important to fix. But this website, Chloe's website, is beautiful. I legitimately thought I may not be able to help this person. I actually called a friend to ask what the best way was to handle telling someone that I couldn't help them. She advised me to do what I do with everyone and go through my checklist of things to look at before canceling the website review call. So I did. I was amazed to find that, in spite of the beauty of the website, it wasn't answering her shoppers' questions. It wasn't directing them down the path to purchase, and it was clear that that was what was causing her poor purchase conversion. So what does this have to do with being a Chloe? Well, Chloes typically end up with a beautiful product that they've invested a lot of time in, but it has significant flaws hiding behind the scenes. It's hard to see where Chloes have made mistakes because everything looks so darn good. After implementing some changes I made and recommended on her website, she ended up with a beautiful website that also brought in sales. Now let's talk a little bit about Cathy. Here's Cathy's story. I recently bought a course from a Cathy. She had a great course that will certainly help me with my business. However, it was clear that there were parts of the course that were undone. She touted the course as something you could complete in a weekend, but she didn't include the notes that were necessary to implement the teachings, and it was impossible to reach her to ask questions. It was frustrating to be the recipient of a partially completed course. Why did this happen? Because she was determined to make the course and she immediately took action. She created the course, launched it, and got sales. But she didn't take into account the other projects she had going on in her life. She underestimated how long it would take to properly build out the course, and she ran out of time to double-check everything was working properly. In spite of this misstep in her launch, when she realized her errors, she was quick to fix them, and now her course is one she can be proud of, instead of one that is missing major components. Chloe's and Cathy's both have a tendency to miss important details when working on their projects because they're so hyper-focused on perfection or progress that they miss things. So what's the point of determining if you're a Chloe or a Cathy? It helps you keep an eye on your strengths and weaknesses. If you're quick to act, like Cathy, you may have a tendency to leave things undone. If you're focused on perfection or knowing everything before you act, like a Chloe, you may miss other elements or take much longer than necessary to achieve your goals. So where should you focus? If you're a Chloe and you're stuck on perfecting the one thing and therefore unable to move forward, you need to give yourself excuses to get organized or make sure it's done right instead of just finishing something and moving on. You need to compile resources and try to get all the sides of the story before making a decision. There's nothing wrong with being a Chloe, but sometimes you need to take a page from Cathy and just jump in, even if it isn't perfect. Well, what about if you're a Cathy? You have a plan that you're pushing through as quick as humanly possible to get it done, even if it isn't exactly right. You have a tendency to jump in head first and occasionally make mistakes that you'll have to fix later. Being a Cathy is great because it means you're making quick progress. Just be careful that you don't get sloppy on your quest to a business that makes sales, because this can turn people off if they know they can't count on you. So Chloe is a perfectionist and takes longer than others to finish projects. Cathy is an action taker who sometimes overlooks important details. Both Chloes and Cathys can use their strengths to improve their businesses, but must learn to overcome their weaknesses if they want to find their version of success and live their dreams. So now that you know if you're a Chloe or a Cathy, it's time to focus on each stop on the e-commerce elevator with your strengths and weaknesses in mind. So floor 1 is all about exploring your industry. This is where you find keywords and hashtags that are going to work for your products. You do product research. That means you decide what products you're going to sell before you start making them and selling them. You do customer research to know who you want to sell to. And you find discussion topics that they might be interested in so that you can actually talk to them about the things that are interesting in their lives, the things that they want to know about beyond your product. Floor 1 helps you to know what products to make and how to market them. It's essential that you do this before you create new products or try to market your products anywhere. Floor 2 is all about establishing your brand. That's where we figure out your elevator pitch, your selling platform, you start collecting email analytics, and you start collecting other types of analytics. We don't look at them here. We just start collecting them so that they're ready for when it is time to evaluate them. Here on floor 2, you're going to take the research from floor 1 and make decisions so that you can build your business. First, you figure out what you're doing, the elevator pitch. Then you create your selling platform or platforms like a website, Etsy, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. That's what establishing your brand is all about, and that's what we do on floor 2. Floor 3 is all about engaging your customers. So this is where we start doing social media, welcome emails, regular emails. You're going to make your brand trustworthy on floor 3. You show your shoppers that you're a real business that they can trust. You show them that you're a person that they can connect with. Connection is huge. Did you know that 76% of shoppers buy from a brand they feel connected to? or that 57% of consumers spend more with brands they feel connected to. So this connection can impact your ability to get both sales and higher sales or increase your average order value. That's why floor 3 is so important. Floor 4 is all about evaluating your data and analytics. This is where we start looking at Google Analytics, your Facebook pixel. We look at your social media stats and your email stats. You look at your numbers and determine what your next step is based on your audience's reaction to what you're already doing. In order to have these answers, you have to start something. Start doing something so you can evaluate them here on floor 4. This is where you start to narrow down what you need to do or discover that what you're doing isn't working at all so that you can pivot your business. Then we move on to floor 5. Floor 5 is where we start to think about employing other people. You're not necessarily ready to employ them yet, but you start thinking about it. So this is where we employ VAs and interns. Before you can employ anyone, you have to create systems. You have to start thinking about every single thing you do in your business, writing down step-by-step instructions, recording video tutorials, whatever you have to do to make sure that anyone could watch your step-by-steps and repeat what you've been doing. And that's what creating systems is all about. Then you will interview people, hand off those tasks, and be able to shift your mindset to growth instead of being so task-oriented. This is where you take what you know is working from floor 4 and start to record systems for everything you're doing, and then eventually start handing things off to others. This is also where you learn to be less task-oriented and more growth-oriented. We're finally on floor 6, and this is the floor about expansion and growth. This is what I like to call the fun floor. This is where we start talking about blogging, podcasting, having a YouTube channel, doing virtual trunk shows, vendor events, wholesale, advertising, search engine optimization. This is where you have done all the necessary tasks in your business and you get to play. You get to find what interests you. You get to find what makes you the most you that you could possibly be and double down on that. People know when you love what you do. Now it's time to remember that passion for your business and stop getting bogged down with the nitty-gritty details of a never-ending to-do list. In summary, there are 6 floors, 6 steps to market your handmade business online. Number 1, you explore your industry. Number 2, you establish your brand. Number 3, you engage your customers. Number 4, you evaluate data and analytics. Number 5, you employ VAs and interns. And number 6, you expand and grow. Sometimes we find ourselves taking the wrong path because we allow our Chloe or Cathy tendencies towards perfection or speed to guide us in the wrong direction. Or we go the wrong way because we allow an expert to teach us outdated techniques. Or we get lost because we trust a coach who really only understands one aspect of building an e-commerce business to the detriment of all the other steps that are necessary for success. What you need to have a profitable, successful business is the directory for the entire elevator. Not a partial directory for one part of the building, not a guide who only knows about one floor. You need the directory of the entire building so that you can ride the e-commerce elevator right to the top. My mission for today was to give you an overview of the steps that are necessary to reach your goals. I hope you found insight into your strengths and weaknesses with the stories about Chloe and Cathy, and that you understand what floors you may need to revisit or visit for the first time. I would love to help you live your dreams. Gain clarity and direction in your business with ELISE's e-commerce elevator 6-month group coaching program. We welcome a limited number of new members every 6 months, and by signing up today, you'll reserve your spot. Join now at myscheduledbiz.com/elevator. The link is in the show notes. If you like what we're doing here at Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce and it's helping you gain clarity and direction in your business, you should check out ELISE's e-commerce elevator. In this 6-month group coaching program, I'll guide you through the ins and outs of building a business for purchase conversion. You'll also get to join up with a small group of other e-commerce shop owners who are focused on building exponential growth and reaching the right audience. Head over to myscheduledbiz.com/elevator and join us. We welcome a limited number of new members every 6 months, and by signing up today, you'll reserve your spot. Thanks for listening. See you next week right here on Tech Challenge Makers Conquer E-commerce.